Welcome back, all my Tech Mexers. Let's get right into it. Talking about Clint Eastwood's new movie, Macho, which is in theaters and on HBO Max. Oh, he's technically Mexican and 3/4 American, but for 3 generations he's got that nationality. Great-great-grandpa headed south, whose kids had kids then turned around. It's not what the show's about, but it's why he's Mexican technically. He hopes that he was raised in New Mexico, lived in Guadalajara for 2 years, speaks fluent Spanish with a bachelor's degree in language, and makes a mean taquito. I am a sucker for all things Clint Eastwood. I enjoy his acting and his directing and just general on-screen presence. I don't think I've seen a movie of his that I haven't liked, and I've actually, in the last couple years, I've been trying to watch more of his stuff. I don't think I'll ever see all of his films because he's acted in about 80 movies and directed 50. Now there's some overlap. Some of them he starred in and directed, but it's a lot of movies. I really enjoy him as a director. I just really like the vibe and the spirit that he always puts into his movies. It's a very laid back approach to filmmaking in the most earnest way possible. He's never really been about the sparkles and explosions. He's more of a gritty, honest filmmaker, and I really appreciate that about him. So I just really vibe with his style, and I've been trying to gradually go back and watch a lot of his films that I haven't seen. And this one just dropped in theaters right now and on HBO Max, and I watched it, and I really liked it. It's definitely not his best film, and I don't think I would recommend this movie to someone who hasn't seen any Clint Eastwood films. This is not the film that I would start with, but if you've ever seen anything with him, you should see this. It's good. It's a very enjoyable film. It's very slow. There's no action. I mean, the guy's 91, and he's still producing, directing, and acting in movies, and that's crazy. The film as a whole, it's just a really nice, feel-good movie. Really stripped back character study drama that just makes you feel good at the end. That's all it is. It's just a very simple film about a guy who, without spoiling really anything, the plot is Clint Eastwood's brother asks him to go down to Mexico and bring his brother's son back to the United States. It's about their journey. Yeah, most of the film is just the two of them talking, and it's really good. I don't really have a whole lot to say about the plot and the story. It's just a nice film, and it has a really good message. I recommend it. I had a good time, and it was fun. I do have some nitpicks, and none of them have anything to do with the plot. And I'm pretty sure that the things that bothered me won't bother 90% of the people who watch the movie. It's just that I am cultured. No. In a way, yeah. I know Mexico really well, and I also know New Mexico really well. And while the film's story takes place in Mexico, it was all filmed in New Mexico, which is where I was raised. And I also lived in Mexico for 2 years. They're very different places. And the sets and the locations they go to are very clearly not in Mexico. And it bothers me a little bit. But, even seeing those things, I can see past them and enjoy the story for what it is. But it's still like that, that's in America. I mean, there's a lot of easy tells. Just the architecture alone, you can tell it's not in Mexico. A large portion of the film takes place in a restaurant owned by a Mexican lady, and the whole place is made out of wood. They don't use wood in for the most part. They don't use wood in constructing buildings in Mexico, and the architecture is just way off. It doesn't look anything like Mexico. The power lines are all uniform and neat, and there isn't a single person leeching off the power lines like you'll see on every street corner in Mexico. I think it would have been nice to see a little bit more immersion, but I'm also super picky, just because I personally just know those two things really well, and I don't really think anyone else would be bothered by it, but it bothered me. I'm like, I would have liked a little bit more authenticity, you know? It's like trying to find authentic Mexican food in the United States. You can do it if you look for a really long time. You got to try a bunch of different places to get the, oh yeah, this is how it tastes. This is the authentic flavor. Not that any of the other food is bad. It's just like Americanized. Both good. One's just more real. I personally would have liked to see, you know, like a more Mexico, a more Mexicanish Mexico. But that's just me. There was also a scene that I really liked narratively. It was fantastic, but that doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make any sense, but only because I know things. And I don't think anyone else would notice or even know that it's a plot hole. But there's obviously like a communication barrier, and they meet some local Mexicans, and Clint Eastwood only speaks English. And there's this really great scene where he ends up being able to communicate with one of the little girls because she is deaf and she knows sign language, and he also knows sign language. And so even though he doesn't speak Spanish, he's able to talk to her in sign language. But it doesn't make sense because there's American Sign Language and there's Spanish Sign Language, and they're completely different. And both the actors in the film were using American Sign Language. She says thank you to him, and then he starts signing back whatever. She wouldn't have known American Sign Language, but it was a really good narrative scene. Like, I liked it, even though like I hated it. So that's the general gist of the movie. It's really slow, but it's methodical, and everything has a purpose, and it's all worth it for just one conversation at the end of the movie between the two main characters. There's a fantastic conversation where they talk about, you know, what it means to be a man and what it means to be macho, and how those things are different. And it's very good. Like, just a great message, really feel-good movie. And there were tons of things that bugged me, and it's not a problem for anyone else but me. So go watch it, enjoy it, get your Clint Eastwood on, and holy crap, like, he's 91 years old and he's still acting, and I think that that's fantastic. So support the guy. He only makes good movies. So watch it. Do it. Bye. I just realized I needed to say, because I said, if you haven't seen any Clint Eastwood movies, maybe don't start with this one. If that's the case, I would recommend Unforgiven. It is, I think it's the best one of his films I've seen. Unforgiven is incredible. He directed it and he acts in it. And it is a wonderful deconstruction of the entire Western genre, which is what made him famous. And it's a really, really good story, and it's Clint Eastwood. It's also got Gene Hackman and Morgan Freeman, so that's a plus. Yeah, if you've never seen a Clint Eastwood movie, start with Unforgiven, and then maybe go back and watch all of his other movies. You know, Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know those ones. You know, probably like the most famous Western of all time. If you're not into Westerns, I would recommend Gran Torino. That one's real good. If you're not into Torinos, I would recommend Mystic River. That one's mystic. If you're not into the mystic arts, I would recommend Richard Jewell. That one's real good too. Just pretty much anything he's ever done. Also, Oscars. Best Supporting Actor. Make it happen. You're already kind of a joke, and no one takes you seriously. So just lean into it, and maybe people will watch you again. Give this rooster an Oscar.